many questions which remain unanswered. The latest disappointing news is that the British coal collection that was housed at Chatterley Whitfield Mining Museum will not return to North Staffordshire. The Charity Commission, who now have the collection, have decided it will go to Yorkshire instead. A great disappointment to Fred Lee, who joins me in the studio this afternoon, together with Les Mason, both of whom are part of the 8-man consortium to reopen Chatterley Whitfield Mining Museum. Gentlemen, welcome to the programme. Good afternoon to you.
Okay.
Fred, how did you feel when you heard the news about the collection?
Well, I was incensed. At the same time, like the Ezra Clark Medal at Holditch, where we tried our best to get this back from the liquidators. Fortunately, probably for the area, Newcastle Corporation stepped in and bought it. But the same applies now to medals that are in the British Coal Collection, or the so-called British Coal Collection, which we are told now that will never be returned to Chatterley Whitfield. I'm most upset about several medals that belong to Walter Clifford. Walter Clifford was a very brave and valiant man who started the North Staffs Rescue Brigade. He was in 9 colliery disasters, and when he died, his medals, in 1986, his medals were presented to Chatterley Whitfield, and for some reason were put in the British Coal Collection. I've been asked by his step-granddaughter to find out where these medals are, which one is a King Edward VII medal, which is the equivalent to a VC, a gold watch that is inscribed, another gold medal, 9 bars, and another medal. After quite a bit of investigation, I've found that some of these medals were now in the Yorkshire Mining Museum. So myself, with other members of the consortium, went to find out and have a look at these medals. Unfortunately, we found that there was one, presumably a gold medal, the 9 bars, no watch, and no Edward VII medal. Now, British Coal have always said that they will look after this collection and safeguard it, and now the Charity Commission has taken over, and they've told the members of our local council that none of this collection will be coming back to North Staffordshire.
So you really haven't actually been able to trace some of those items?
Not at all.
Were they definitely in the collection at the closure of Chatterley Whitfield?
Yeah, according to the curator at Chatterley Whitfield Mining Museum, they were in a glass case, complete with the watch, which is a very valuable watch and inscribed. And since then, they've gone astray.
So really you're at a sticky wicket now, you just don't know where to look.
Well, I've written to the then chairman of British Coal, who put me on to his secretary and said that all this collection was at Cap House Museum and being looked after. And also, besides the medals belonging to Walter Clifford, there is another Edward medal, or 2 Edward medals, in the British Coal Collection, the catalogue that was compiled by the liquidators.
I see. So this collection, this British Coal Collection, is that what it's called?
That's right.
So it's a national collection of mining memorabilia.
That's right.
Including items donated by the families of former miners.
That is right.
In North Staffordshire.
And when they say British Coal Collection, quite a few of those artefacts have been donated by North Staffordshire families. So to say that we now cannot get the people of North Staffordshire cannot go and have a look at them, I think it's terrible, so that these men can be remembered and all the valiant deeds they did.
Because you of course had that victory when you got that medal back that's now at Newcastle Museum.
That's right, yes.
So just remind us about the story behind that.
Well, I say we were incensed about that because the liquidators would not let us have it back. So the consortium members, and one of them particularly, was going to walk all the way to Birmingham to, with the media and face the liquidators and say, look, we insist that you hand back this medal that belongs to the people of North Staffordshire. And in between time, the negotiations were taking place by Newcastle Corporation to purchase the medal, which they did at a terrific cost, I believe. And now, fortunately, it is in the museum in the Brampton for all people to go and see it.
Okay. Now, how long has the consortium been in existence?
The consortium was formed really in January 94, yeah. We came together. We were a group of people who, I certainly have been watching the medium, following Chatterley Whitfield with interest for a little while, Kate, and I'd picked up various names of people who were interested in possibly trying to save Chatterley Whitfield. I suppose I was responsible for drawing those people together. I didn't know them, they didn't know me, but we got ourselves together in January 1994, and we then approached the liquidators and effectively tried to put a plan together to save Chatterley Whitfield. And that honestly went right to the death. We, on the Thursday before the big sale at Chatterley Whitfield, we agreed a deposit of £25,000, a non-returnable deposit with the liquidators, to stop that sale whilst further negotiations carried on. We then had to come back to the council to be sure of one or two final items in the lease on the site, which we did on the Monday prior to the sale. The sale, I think, took place possibly on the Wednesday. We then went back to the liquidators to make that payment, and they increased it, and we still don't know why, to a figure of £150,000 to cover all of their costs, to ensure that they didn't lose a penny. And at that point, because we all also had to give personal guarantees, all 8 of us, and one of our members actually lives in North Wales, and another one was actually working in North Wales at Point of Ayr Colliery, we had to pull out. That was how close we were. It became
too expensive.
Yeah, and even on the day before the sale, and Joan Wally was a very good friend to us at that time. She was chasing Michael Heseltine and Neil Hamilton around the Houses of Parliament to try and find a way to postpone the sale, but all that collapsed, and we were devastated by that. We'd spent a lot of time, we put a lot of effort into it, and it was all to no avail. But the one thing we did do, we promised all the people who'd given us support, and I'm talking of many people, ex-guides, ex-employees there, people from the mining communities, councillors outside Stoke-on-Trent, and I say that possibly even angrily, councillors who were in the mining areas of Kidsgrove and Newcastle and the Biddulph area, they were giving us their full support. We said we would never walk away from Chatterley Whitfield, and we have no intention of walking away from it.
It's all sort of gone a bit quiet, hasn't it, really? Because there was the creditors who wanted their money back. There's the report, £50,000, that the City Council was investigating the possibilities of the future of Chatterley Whitfield, and still as I drive past it from time to time, the gates are firmly closed. And people are visiting Chatterley Whitfield, trying to get in, aren't they?
Every day.
Yeah, there were people there, Kate, at the weekend, people who'd come up from Essex, we're told. And the reason we're here, quite frankly, is because of Terry's programme last week and the gaffe that was made. The AA actually still promoting Chatterley Whitfield in their current brand new book, tourist book. So therefore people will be arriving. They'll be arriving in greater numbers shortly. We also know from
I'll just give them one word of credit. They did actually say no details for their 1995 programme.
Right. Well, we also know that the postman who delivers to the site is also delivering mail, asking information on Chatterley Whitfield. So we know there's still a great interest in Chatterley Whitfield. And the reason it has been quiet, quite frankly, is because we, amongst a number of other people, have been talking to the council. We have been, we've met the consultants, 2 companies who are involved in that consultancy that's just taken place. But we have been asked to keep quiet. But I think, quite frankly, we're now at a point where that report is going to be published in the next few days, and we really do have to turn up the wick. There is a point where if people do nothing, then Chatterley Whitfield eventually will be pulled down. Ted Smith himself was reported in the Sentinel only a few weeks ago that he could apply. He didn't say he would. He said he could apply to English Heritage to have the site demolished. And we're extremely upset about that, and would like to think that something could be done.
Right. So
See,
basically, it's a waiting game at the moment, isn't it?
yes. The next meeting, I believe, is on the April the 13th with the BDP consultants and so forth. But what worries me that these are listed buildings at Chatterley Whitfield, a reminder of a great industry and the biggest employer in North Staffordshire at one time. And to think that these buildings and the site could be flattened like they have done with the other collieries, and there's still 23 men and boys interred beneath that site because of this explosion that occurred. And to build on that would be like building on something sacred, if you like, or a cemetery. And to me, this really burns me up to think that this great industry will be forgotten. Besides being a great tourist attraction and a wonderful experience in mining, to just wipe it off the face of the earth, it's really disgusting.
What are your hopes, Fred?
We hope that with this next meeting that we will be said, right, go ahead. We've given our proposals, what to do, how we're going to proceed with the museum, and we hope that they will adhere to that and let us get on with the job.
And if anyone listening agrees with you, what would you like them to do?
Well, I'd like for them to give us moral support, Kate. I mean, the whole object is that we felt that certainly providing the buildings are not in a total state of disrepair, and even then I'm sure the fact that English Heritage have listed them, that they would be willing to contribute something towards the upkeep of those buildings. What we really want is moral support from the people of Stoke-on-Trent. You know, we seem to be getting it from outside, from the mining areas around the periphery of Stoke-on-Trent, and I would like to say that I think that if Chatterley Whitfield was, you know, half a mile to the north or a mile to the west in the two neighbouring boroughs, that it would never have closed. And you know, if needs be, you know, perhaps people would like to ring Fred or myself and offer that support. You know, we don't want money. We purely want moral support. You know, I'm quite willing to give either you, the listeners, or the desk downstairs our home phone numbers.
By all means, give us your home phone numbers, gentlemen.
Do you want it now? Yeah, right. Fred's number is a Stone number, and that is 0785 813 633. He's in all day. His business is conducted from home. My business and my home phone number, Kate, is Stoke-on-Trent, 01782. Right, yeah. 397418. Preferably after 6:30, please.
Okay, so in the evenings you can phone Les on 01782 397418 or Fred on 01785 813 633. You're hoping to hear some news on the 13th of April?
We hope.
We wait to hear also with you what news that brings. Les Mason and Fred Lee, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
It would cost in the region of £5 or £6 million to bring the buildings and the site up to scratch. He says it would be at least 5 years before the council could even think about heading in that direction. Chatterley Whitfield, you'll remember, went into liquidation about 18 months ago. A sad fate for a place which once won the Industrial Museum of the Year award. And the consortium claim they could have the museum open again in a matter of months. Well, Les Mason, who's led the consortium, is on the line now. Mr. Mason, good afternoon to you.
Hello, Jason. Very happy to speak to you again.
Well, a big contradiction here. Councillor Smith says your project is pie in the sky. He says it won't open for a long time to come. You say it could be open in a matter of months.
Well, quite often, Jason, I mean, political people make statements of the worst before a report is published, and then of course anything that's better than that is then seen possibly as a success, and I certainly hope that is the case. We met with a group of consultants on the 10th of March, as I understand a number of other organisations have, and we put forward our plans yet again, and their report is not coming before the council until next week.
So it's not the end of the story as far as you're concerned?
Well, we don't feel so, Jason. Obviously, we're very, very disappointed in what Ted Smith said. We feel, as I say, that he might be jumping the gun. This report is allegedly impartial, and, we would hope that they would take everything into account.
But do you not agree that it would cost a huge amount of money to get the site up and running again, because some of the buildings are in a terrible state? Some of them are said to be not safe.
Well, that of course is the whole site, Jason. We, in our latest proposals, really we're only looking for the small central core of the site. The buildings there are in quite good condition, although obviously some money will have to be spent. These buildings are listed by English Heritage. They are a government body or a government-sponsored organisation, and if they've listed them, then surely they must be prepared to put some money into that to keep them in good order.
But surely the real demise of Chatterley began several years ago when the pit shaft was closed because the end of Woolstanton Colliery meant it was no longer being pumped dry. You had to close the real pit shaft, and you created, or not you, but an artificial one was created. It wasn't a real working museum. That's really why people stopped coming. That's why the museum got into trouble. Surely you can't change that, can you?
Thanks for blowing that one, Jason. You know, I hope you didn't tell everyone about Santa Claus when you were little. Yeah, I mean that is the case, but the underground experience is, and we've visited some of the other mining museums in the country. That underground experience at Chatterley Whitfield is absolutely excellent, and you know, is very, very realistic.
Well, don't blame me. I mean, there was a lot of publicity at the time. Isn't that really why people stopped coming?
Well, no. In effect, there was a period where the attendances dropped quite dramatically, but they were in the final year actually coming back again. The reason why Chatterley Whitfield finished was because the City Council withdrew its grant.
And without the City Council, surely there's no hope, is there, for Chatterley?
I don't think that's the case.
Could you do it without them, then?
Yes, there is. There are massive coal reserves on the Chatterley Whitfield, Jason, and there has been a drift mine constructed by a member of our consortium. It's already cost him over £100,000. It is ready to draw coal. It would employ somewhere in the region of a dozen men at 500 tonnes of coal a week. Some of that money would come into the consortium to run the museum, together with obviously other sources of income. We have a company that wishes to make coal briquettes there. We have a bakery that wishes to produce oat cakes on site. We would have a small shop, a cafeteria. We would have any sponsorship deals that we could get, and also entrance fees. You know, there are a number of sources of income that are there, and you know, the most important one is actually the coal reserves.
So just clarify this for me, just finally. You have got a formal application, have you, then, going into the City Council?
We have submitted another proposal. We were asked to do that. We've done it again. It is a trimmed-down version of the original one, because originally we wanted the whole of the site, but of course we had all of the assets at that time. Those assets have now been sold, and therefore we've had to trim ourselves down to what effectively is 3 central buildings and the underground experience.
All right, so you're still very hopeful?
We're hopeful, Jason. Regrettably, you know, the statements made do give us great concern, and that's why we're on the programme. I mean, that one did come out of the blue. You know, I did receive a phone call from the Sentinel on, I think it was on Wednesday, you know, making that statement, and I was asked to comment. You know, I'm very, very sad that that statement's being made, you know, because it's obviously in front of the report that's going to be published next week.
Les Mason, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We wish you well.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Well,